We are in London with Stefan De Faÿ of, and I'm going to say this in my best Midwest Chicago accent, Paris La Défense Seine Arche. He's an urban planner from Paris, and I'm glad that you're here because we really haven't gotten too much on the French perspective of what all's been going on here in London. You know, they call it European high-rises, and I want to know if you think that's the case. When you look at these buildings in London, what do they say to you?
When I look at London, something that is very interesting for me is the conjunction of two elements. First, very high quality buildings that are old buildings or new buildings, but very high quality assets that have been developed, regenerated years after years, with especially in the city and Canary Wharf, but not only. And today, this renewal, especially of high-rises, is slipping out of the traditional centers where it was more or less concentrated. If I compare, but at the same time, something that is very striking for a French Cartesian culture is that the urbanism that is beside these objects is very unclear, giving the impression that the city is making itself more around objects than objects made for a purpose in the city. Well, in France we have the exact contrary tendency. We are not known to be the most pragmatic people in the world, and we like planning, strategic planning, and so on. The advantage of this is that there is probably a better visibility, a better understanding of the structure of the city for the people that came in the city. Today in Paris, this question of the strategic planning has been raised to a very high level because it was introduced by former French President Nicolas Sarkozy and taken back by the new President François Hollande as one of the major priorities of the government, meaning what we call le Grand Paris, Greater Paris. The Grand Paris project deals with this issue. We have in Paris a central city, Paris, the historical Paris, that works very well. It's attractive, it's beautiful, transportation means works in a marvelous manner. Well, around Paris we have suburbs. And these suburbs today work in a very complicated manner with Paris. During a lot of time, Paris were backing its suburbs, saying my border is stopping there. I don't want to know what is around. And when French President Nicolas Sarkozy introduced the idea of Grand Paris, the idea was how we make the link between Paris and these suburbs. How we make this to be only great territory. Something that London has made quite some years ago. And to handle this project, one priority has been given is transport. Transport not because we have problems of transport in Paris. Everything can be better, but we have already a very, very efficient infrastructure. But transport because transport can make links to areas that were not at all in the urban development dynamics of Paris. So today what has been decided is to invest 32 billion euros in the transportation means, meaning about 15 years of work to produce this. And today is a real challenge of Paris is how all territories, all suburbs take advantage of this New Deal. How they invent by themselves the city that they will be tomorrow. And how they invent around, I think, one idea that is central and that has very lot to do with the objectives of the council is the identity. How you make a suburb as its own identity. This deals a lot with urbanism and buildings, not only.
We talk about tall buildings in the European context at this conference. And there are a lot of different types of tall buildings in Europe. When you look at tall buildings in Germany and England, is there a European style? Is there one European style of tall building or not? And what would a French manifestation of height look like?
That's a very good and very difficult question, I think. The place of the culture of each nation in the way it deals with these very particular objects that are tall buildings. In the panel just a few minutes ago, an Indian architect were asking about a quite sad question about how can we keep in the tall building design the specificities of every individual culture. And coming from an Indian architect, it sounds in a very particular manner. I don't believe that taking a tall building in particular, that there is really a French manner that would be different from a British manner, from a German manner, even perhaps from an American manner. For Asia, the issue is a little bit different because the relation between people and tall buildings is slightly different for deep cultural reasons. But if we focus on, I would say, Occidental traditional tall buildings, I think perhaps the place where a specificity can be found is the way the context of the building is dealt with. We see something that is very French, for example. La Défense is made around a gigantic public space that has cost a lot to produce because it separates the cars, the underground from the pedestrian levels. There have been billions of euros that have been invested in this. And this is a pure public investment made for free. No rentability beside. So this is very French. Well, however, this has created somehow an identity that is very, very specific, that deals also with a lot of public spaces that you can find in Paris. For example, the park, the Champ de Mars, on which the Eiffel Tower is put on, is the same time of very gigantic, very structured Cartesian. We like mathematics, patterns, and so on. Well, I think this insertion of the buildings in the public space, this is perhaps something that is very French, and that surely we can find expressions that are typically British, typically German, typically American. The structure of the American city with squares everywhere, that very, very structured, is somehow the manifestation of this identity, of this cultural identity. But in the buildings themselves, I don't see so much cultural identity, and somehow that's sad.
Well, Stefan De Faÿ, I want to thank you for dropping by to see us in London. Thanks very much.
It was really a pleasure for me to be there and to be able to discuss with you, and also to listen about the preoccupations of everybody here, of British people, but especially of people that came from all around the world to this very beautiful conference. Thank you.
Thank you.